Forming an outlook for the oil price for 2013, one probably needs to look at the most important fundamental, which is supply and demand. Because oil is a commodity, supply and demand is fundamental to the pricing of the oil price in the medium to longer term. At the moment, supply and demand is pretty much in balance. On the supply side, the biggest threat by far is volatility in the Mid East, and of all the factors over there, probably the largest being the tensions between Iran and Israel and the West. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly a quarter of the world's oil gets shipped through the Strait of Hormuz, so any disruption to the shipping through that small waterway will send the price of oil through the roof quite quickly. Secondly, the ongoing civil war in Syria is of concern to the supply side. Should tensions spill over to Turkey, some key supply pipelines might be jeopardized. Thirdly, although Iraq's oil production has been picking up lately, the political situation over there is not 100% what it should be. And one or two major terror events might send the production back to levels 12-24 months ago. And then fourthly, of concern on the supply side is the Arab Spring and the way that irrevocably changed the playing field for oil producing countries, especially in the Mid East. Saudi Arabia needs a minimum price of $80 a barrel on Brent crude oil to maintain social grants and social order. Although the lifting cost of crude oil is much lower than the $80, they cannot sustain oil prices much below 80 for any period longer than 6 months. On the positive side to supply, as mentioned, Iraqi production is picking up, and we expect Iraqi production to be at pre-Gulf War levels by 2015. Also, Canada and the United States are also ramping up production. So, production at the current moment looks to be stable with capacity to increase. On the demand side, the two largest threats that we've identified to demand, the never-ending European debt crisis. Should that escalate, that can lead to massive demand destruction, and also any hard landing out of China. Lately, economic data out of China has not been good, and as world's second largest consumer of crude oil, that is definitely something that we're watching out for. Positive for demand, economic uptick in the United States. The US is the world's largest consumer of crude oil, and lately the data out of the States have been indicating that their economy is picking up, and that should underpin demand. So, to recap, supply and demand roughly in balance right now, with supply looking stable and possibly increasing, demand looking to be slightly under pressure, and with that in mind, from a supply and demand point of view, we believe that oil prices will be stable to slightly negative in 2013.